headset. I'll walk down in front of the press box. I'll take it, and I'll just move.
Hot shot off of Dugan into center field for a base hit. That was 108 miles right off the bat, and it went right off of Dugan's upper leg. He's okay, and Hellman's on board with a base hit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the ricochet came too quickly for Owen Cobb to react to. He was there to cover behind Dugan if it got past him, but then the ricochet took it back towards more of a traditional second baseman spot. At that point, Cobb's momentum was towards the bag. He had no chance to recover.
Here's Maddox Maloney. Pitch upstairs and outside for ball one, with Timo Becerra at third ahead of the bag. Maloney hitting .435 on the year, checked out 6 home runs and 22 RBI. Takes this one, slider, 1-1. Maloney, a freshman from Springfield, Oregon, right next door to Eugene. So he didn't have to go too far. 1 ball, 1 strike. Curve, gorgeous, touches the outside corner. Maloney waves at it, and he's down in the count, 1-2. The 1-2 pitch from Dugan. Tries another breaking ball. Handled well by Moore, 2-2. Oregon Ducks, of course, didn't play baseball for much of the 80s into the 90s, reinstated their program in 2009. 2-2. Moore tries to frame it, doesn't get the call. Count full. Ducks play at PK Park, which is a nice facility. Also the home of the Eugene Emeralds. The 3-2 pitch from Dugan. Fires a fastball, got him looking. The throw to second, strike him out, throw him out.
Very nicely done from behind the plate by Malcolm Moore. First of all, holding that strike call there long enough to make sure he gets it. It wasn't a great jump from Hellman. He's not a guy that you want out there executing a 2-strike hit and run type situation there. So he didn't have a great jump, and Moore able to fight off Maloney in front and make a good, strong, clean throw to the bag at second.
Mason Neville fouls off the first pitch that he sees. Neville, a sophomore from Las Vegas. He transferred from Arkansas this past offseason. He's been busy in this series. 1-for-1 in the pinch hit appearance on Friday. 3-for-4 with a home run and 4 driven in yesterday. And takes this pitch for a ball, 1-1. Neville overall on the year hitting .231 with 7 home runs and 24 RBI. Foul back behind us and off to our left. Count goes to 1-2 on Neville. Dugan stepping back onto the rubber. Pitch clock moving. And Dugan deals. Just misses a little bit low. 2-2. Both Trevor Haskins and Owen Cobb at short and second, respectively, kind of made that little half hop towards the dugout, thinking it might be strike 3 called. It was not.
It was borderline.
Seen a bunch of those from both Dugan and Sider so far today. The 2-2, no question about this one. Low and outside, count full. Three balls and 2 strikes. The pitch. Got him. Drops down the curve. Neville swings and misses, and the side is retired. No score. Bottom second coming up in a moment from Stanford. Charlie Somm leading it off for the Cardinal. Bottom of the second. Oregon and Stanford scoreless to this point. Somm, the junior from Thousand Oaks, California, slashing .281, .352, .594 with 6 home runs and 16 RBI. Takes the first pitch from Sider on the outside corner, called for strike one. Som with 18 base hits this year. 6 of them have left the yard. Takes this pitch that doesn't miss by much, 1-1. Took Sider 25 pitches to get through that first inning. 1-1. Cracked to Maloney on 2 hops. The throw over to first in time for the out. Brings up Trevor Haskins, junior from San Jose. Haskins hitting .299 on the year. Slugging .512, 4 home runs and 20 RBI. Does have a team high 31 strikeouts so far this season. Slider rolls low and away, 1-0 to Haskins, who has recorded a base hit in each of the first 2 games of this series. 2 for 6 overall this weekend. Fouled off the fists, making it over the top of the net, heads up down there. Count goes to 1-1. Sunny skies, slight breeze, 73 degrees when we began this one. Could get up to 78 before it's all said and done this afternoon. Can't ask for better playing conditions. 1-1. Tails outside, 2-1.
Well, Troy, with where we're sitting and the sun beating down on us here, the front row of the press box, the 76 that it is now feels a lot like about 91.
Yeah?
It's toasty right here.
I always tell people the warmest spot on this campus is the front row of the press box at Sunken Diamond. 2-1. Fastball, outside corner called, 2-2. And that's where we are. Meanwhile, you go up to the second row, and it's at least a 10, 15-degree difference. It never fails. 2 balls and 2 strikes. From Sider to Haskins. The pitch. Off the fist, stays fair. Garate. The throw wide. Beyond Walsh. Haskins still going. And into second. E5.
Well, it was a jam shot off the bat of Haskins, and Garate took a long time to receive it. Didn't charge or anything, so he had plenty of time, and then just kind of made a little bit of a nonchalant throw over to first. It was low. Walsh couldn't dig it out, and another careless mistake here for Oregon. You had 2 free passes in the first, and now an error that puts a runner in scoring position for the Card here in the second. Stanford another chance to try and take advantage of an Oregon mistake.
Timo Becerra rounding out the Stanford batting order. Opposite field, but landing foul just into the Stanford bullpen. Becerra Jr. from Clovis, California. And on the year, Timo hitting .328, no home runs, 13 RBI. Timo from Clovis, Buchanan High School. As this one is hit to left center field. Drifting back as he goes over, makes the catch in deep center. It's Betcher. He tracks it down. 2-gun.
That had a really good sound off the bat of Timo Becerra, and you thought the way that we think the ball's going to fly here today, that has a shot to get out of here out there to deep left center. TrackMan says 386, so that's probably, based off of where that is in left center, you're probably looking at about 10 feet shy of a home run. So warning track power, as they say, and Betcher had to cover a lot of ground out there to make that play.
Back to the top of the order we go. It's Owen Cobb, who struck out looking in the first. Quick throw back to second. Haskins back in safely. As Drew Smith had just shifted over a few steps to his right moments before that throw was made. So they're paying attention to Haskins at second. Sider spins and loops one back to Smith. Mentioned Haskins. Or check out Becerra from Buchanan High School. So is Drew Smith, the Oregon second baseman. Buchanan High School down in Clovis. The pitch. Off the fist, foul back. Now, of course, both of those young men, both Timo Becerra and Drew Smith, can both claim they went to the same high school as Brock Jones, the Stanford baseball legend of recent vintage. During Stanford's trips to the College World Series, Brock Jones became known as Mr. Omaha, true man of the people. The 0-1. Curveball smacked to left, gets down for a base hit. Haskins hustling around third. Cobb heading towards second, and Cobb is out at second. Hoskins come across, and he does get across before the third out was recorded. So Stanford takes a 1-0 lead. To the top of the third inning in just a moment on Stanford Livestream. We've had a lot of action so far for a 1-0 game. Stanford with the lead. What will happen in the third and the fourth innings? Brian Brownfield will fill you in on those details.
One thing we do know, Troy, is that Oregon will send the bottom three of the order up to begin the top of the third as they trail 1-0. Drew Smith, Bryce Betcher, and Carter Garate, the three scheduled hitters here against Nick Dugan, who has faced the minimum through two, though, as you said, it has been quite eventful to get to that point. He's allowed base hits in both the first and second innings as the first pitch misses inside with a fastball to Drew Smith, the second baseman, 1 ball and no strikes. Meggers singled in the first and was called out on a stolen base attempt on a strike him out, throw him out look as that one misses outside. Now it's 2 balls and no strikes. Jacob Walsh was called for interference affecting the throw from Malcolm Moore. So that ended the first, as that one's fouled away over the netting to the right side. Good 2-0 swing by Smith, and it's 2-1. And then in the second inning, Hellman led off with a single, but was thrown out trying to steal on a 3-2 stolen base attempt with Maddox Maloney at the plate. So a strike him out, throw him out double play there, as Smith gets a piece of that one and fouls that one into the same spot. The count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Smith, a .310 hitter. 35th start of the season for the sophomore. 1 home run, he's driven home 20. And the 2-2 is just outside. Went with the breaking ball, and it was correctly called by our home plate umpire, Nathan White. That one did miss a couple of inches off the plate. So a 3-ball, 2-strike count. Dugan from the windup, and his payoff pitch is in the dirt, ball 4. So for the second consecutive inning, the leadoff man is aboard for the Ducks.
And your summary doesn't even get into the wackiness of the double rundown to end or at least in the bottom half of the first inning, in which we had about at least a 7 or so minute delay before the umpires finally figured everything out.
Here's Bryce Betcher, the center fielder for the Ducks. Man on first, nobody out. 1-0 card in the top of the third. Infield to play, 2 up the middle. First pitch is cranked high in the air to deep left center field. Jimmy Natai drifting back. He's nearing the track. Now takes a couple of steps up, and he makes the catch just in front of the Stanford logo out there in left center field. So Betcher got a hold of one, but it hung up in the sky too long for Natai. Makes the catch, and there's out number 1. So good recovery for Nick Dugan to get a quick out after the walk. And here's Carter Garate, the third baseman for Oregon, .276 hitter. He started every game this year for Oregon as Dugan steps off and throws back to first. To keep an eye on Smith, who's 3 for 4 on stolen base attempts this year. Garate, 7 extra base hits, all of them doubles. He's driven home 12. Over the top breaking ball, that's a good pitch and a strike. And it's 0-1 on Garate.
Yeah, Garate started hot the first 18 games, was hitting 377, but has cooled off a bit over the last 20 game sits, hitting just 177.
Swing and a miss. Chases a fastball that was running up and away from Nick Dugan at 90 miles an hour.
So his batting average has gone down nearly a full 100 points over the last 20 games of the season.
0-2 on the way. Fastball, same spot, but this time laying off is Garate. Thought as the weather warmed up, the bats were supposed to warm up too.
But then again, the pitching gets better.
That's true.
The caliber of pitching that you're generally facing tends to heat up as well.
1-2 on Garate. He swings and misses. Chased another curveball that was bearing towards the back foot. Garate down on strikes, and that's 4 strikeouts the first time through the order for Nick Dugan.
4 strikeouts, 1 walk. By my count, 6 first pitch strikes dealt by Dugan, his first time through the order.
So back to the top of the order for Oregon with 2 outs here in the third. It's Justin Casella, the left fielder. 1-0 Cardinal. First pitch, fastball, misses outside. Good spot for Dugan, but Casella lays off. It's 1-0. Casella made the game's first out, swung at the first pitch, and hit a scorching line drive to center that Ethan Hott hardly had to move for. He chases in the dirt, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. So Dugan finding success out of the strike zone here, getting some of these Oregon bats to swing and miss. Outfield fairly deep all the way across, and a few steps towards left center for Hott as Dugan steps off and throws back to first. Continuing to keep a close eye on Drew Smith, who walked to open up the inning. Slightly open stance from the right side for Casella, and the 1-1 just a shade off with a slider. That's a 2 ball, 1 strike count.
Moore tried to frame that one. Catchers always try to help out the pitchers.
Dugan kicks and fires, and that one's fouled back off the end of the bat of Casella on a fastball that was right on the outside corner.
Dugan earning his first career win last year during the regionals, an elimination game against Cal State Fullerton. If you're going to pick a time to get your first ever win, getting in an elimination game in the regionals isn't a bad time to get it.
2-2 pitch is in the dirt, gets away from Moore to his left, and advancing 90 feet is Drew Smith. He was not going initially when that ball kicked in the dirt, but then when he realized that Malcolm Moore could not locate it, said, I'm going to take an extra bag. So he's in scoring position now on the wild pitch with a 3 ball, 2 strike count, 2 outs here in the top of the third. Stanford leading at 1-0.
Just the second wild pitch dealt by Dugan so far this season.
And now Dugan steps off as Cobb goes towards second base. Cobb goes through some signs with his young right-hander. Dugan set, glove at the belly, 3-2 pitch is bounced towards third and foul. I'll have to do it again, another 3 ball, 2 strike count. Yeah, you go back to that regional last year for Dugan picking up the win. I'd say that certainly gave him an inside track to then start this 2024 season in the rotation. Yes, there were a lot of arms lost for Stanford. We've talked ad nauseum about that this year, but nonetheless, Dugan had the inside route for it as that 3-2 pitch just missed down and away with a fastball. That's ball 4, second walk of the inning, and it puts 2 runners aboard for Chase Meggers.
Yeah, Dugan just seemed to fire that one in there, kind of throwing it as opposed to pitching it a little bit.
So more traffic on the base paths for Oregon. And you definitely want to get Meggers out before the guy in the on-deck circle gets a chance to do some potential damage in this inning.
Amen to that.
Meggers takes the first one in the dirt with a breaking ball, 1 ball and no strikes.
Now, that being said, Meggers, of course, has had success against the Cardinal this weekend as well with his monster day yesterday.
And a great season that he's in the midst of as well. He's only struck out 9 times, and he's batting an even .500 with runners in scoring position. He's now ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Lefty at the plate, so the infield shifting to the right side. Cobb deep at second. Dugan steps off, fires to second, where Trevor Haskins was right behind the bag. Smith, the runner at second. Casella, the runner on first. 1-0 Stanford. Dugan delivers. That's a strike. Knee high with a fastball. Good location to get one over on the 2-0. Last start for Dugan came in March against Utah. That one misses low. It's 3-1. Took the loss, giving up 2 earned runs in 5 innings against the Utes in enemy territory. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts after he made the first 5 turns through the rotation as a starter. 3-1 pitch is outside, ball 4. And this is not the spot Stanford wants to be in here in the third. 3 walks in the inning, and the bases are loaded with 2 outs for one of the best hitters in the conference in Jacob Walsh.
Especially after Stanford had taken a lead in the bottom half of the second. And as I think you just hinted at, especially given who's striding up to the plate right now.
Walsh struck out swinging in the first, so the first matchup between these two advantaged Dugan. But one of the reasons Walsh is so dangerous is he adjusts well. First pitch from Dugan as he goes from the windup, it's a changeup, and Walsh was way out in front. It's 0-1.
Well, Dugan adjusting a little bit too. The chess match continues.
The 0-1. Fastball, that's a called strike. Caught just enough of the outside part of the plate, and now the whole playbook is open 0-2.
Walsh has struck out a team-high 41 times this year.
Bases loaded, 2 down. The 0-2 pitch from Dugan bounces in front of home plate. Went with the curve, and Walsh lays off. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Walsh, a .500 hitter with the bases loaded. 404 with runners in scoring position. The 1-2 pitch is down and away. And from 0-2, we go to 2-2. Smith, Casella, and Meggers, the runners. The 2-2 is in the dirt, ball 3.
Moore's had to block 3 in a row. Meanwhile, the Stanford infield does have the shift on. And it's Haskins who's actually closest and in between first and second. With Owen Cobb, the lone between second and third.
Payoff pitch is swung on and fouled off the lower regions of Walsh. It was a hanging breaking ball that sat about thigh high. Probably not the spot Dugan wanted it, but after bouncing the last couple, needed to get it up. So it's 3-2 as Walsh goes for a little bit of a walk to shake that one off. Walsh does have a grand slam this season. That came at Arizona State on March 10th. Another payoff pitch as the runners go. It's in the air to left field. That's going to hang up for Natai, who drifts back towards left center. He's got it, and the inning is over. So the Ducks load the bases on 3 walks issued by Nick Dugan, but Jacob Walsh flies out to end the inning, and Stanford holds on to a 1-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the third. We're back to Sunken Diamond. It's the bottom of the third. It's Stanford 1, Oregon 0. Brian Brownfield and Troy Clarity with you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon on the farm. Doesn't get too much better than this where we're at. And we hope it's a beautiful day wherever you're tuned in. As Stanford will send Ethan Hott, Court McDonald, and Malcolm Moore up to the plate here in the third. Hott singled in the first, was left stranded at third. First pitch misses down and away, 1 ball, no strikes. Of course, Hott was one of the 2 base runners subjected to a replay review in the first when Stanford almost made a couple of outs on the base paths with the bases loaded. Breaking ball from Kevin Sider misses down and away, 2 balls and no strikes. Jimmy Nadai with 1 out and the bases loaded popped out to second. Smith made the catch, and then a crazy rundown ensued between multiple runners at second and third. Fastball catches enough of the outside part of the plate to make it 2-1. And the Oregon Ducks decided to challenge outs at both second and third that were not called. 2-1 is scalded into center field. Betcher coming on. He makes the running catch as that one was hit hard by Ethan Hott, but hung up long enough for Betcher to get there.
Yeah, Betcher kind of waited till the last instant to put his glove up and made the catch. Kind of threw me off a little bit. So I wasn't quite sure if he'd had a beat on it or not, and if it might even drop in front of him for a base hit. But Betcher probably had it all the way. Just wanted to play with my mind a little bit.
Court McDonald up now as the leadoff man has been retired in all 3 innings for Stanford. But they lead 1-0 here in the third. First one to Court McDonald, catches the inside part of the plate. It's 0-1. McDonald walked and stole second base in that first, in which Stanford left the bases loaded, did not score. Golfs at that one and sends it into right field for a base hit. So Court McDonald has found himself a home in that third spot in the Stanford lineup, and he's aboard for the second time today.
Yeah, walking the first, and now a single here, golfing that one, making like Stanford might be doing up in Pullman.
They sure are.
Right now.
That's a heck of a segue by you, Troy Clarity.
Thank you.
Round 1 of the Pac-12 Women's Golf Championship up in Pullman at Palouse Ridge, and Stanford, with a couple of holes left to go in round 1, they find themselves in the lead at 2 under as a team, 1 stroke better than Arizona State, and a good 6 strokes clear of Oregon. First pitch to Malcolm Moore misses outside 1-0, and scores were very high early in the day as temperatures, they're still not warm up there in Pullman by any stretch, but it was 42 degrees at first tee today. So a lot of beanies out there, but Stanford has a trio of golfers inside the top 10 right now. As Malcolm Moore takes just outside on a breaking ball, a pitch that did not miss by much.
52 degrees in Pullman right now with sustained winds at 17 miles an hour, gusts up to 26.
So that would explain why all but 2 teams in the field are over par. Pause in the 2-0 by Sider. Pours in the breaking ball. It's 2-1.
The slider from Sider.
Mega Gane tied for the lead right now as she has 3 holes to go. She's through 15. She's 2 under, tied for first. And she shares the lead with Beth Coulter of Arizona State. The 2-1. Another breaking ball, but that one flutters low, and now it's 3-1. And then you have Rachel Heck, who's having a heck of a round so far. She's got 4 birdies, and she's 1 under, tied for third. With Kelly Zhu tied for 8th, even at par. Through 16. A step and a throw back to first. Flinching was Court McDonald, but he's in there safely.
Yeah, McDonald maybe had a half lean towards second, but able to turn and get back into first to just beat the throw.
3 balls and a strike on Moore. 1-0 Stanford, bottom of the third. Sider delivers. That is low, ball 4. So a 1-out single and now a 1-out walk. It's the third free pass issued by Sider. 2 walks and a hit batter. And Stanford again putting the pressure on the Oregon pitching staff here, as they've done so often throughout this 3-game series.
Well, and again, a continuation of what we've seen for much of the season from Malcolm Moore. Some folks will point to his .238 batting average coming into the day and go, oh, what's wrong with the reigning Pac-12 freshman of the year? But they're also ignoring his slugging and his on-base percentage, which have been quite high throughout the entirety of this season. Moore getting on base once again.
Jimmy Nadai swings and misses. Runner from second goes. The throw to third is high, but coming down with the tag is Garate. And Court McDonald is thrown out trying to swipe third.
Not a great day for base runners today so far, is it?
No, it has not been. And that one wasn't particularly close. The only thing that made it close was the high throw from Meggers behind the plate. But there's now 2 outs here, and Malcolm Moore's on first.
Well, and that is about as far away from Meggers as he could get with that throw without it being trouble for Oregon.
The 0-1 pitch. Nadai bounces one to third. Going into a sliding backhand is Garate. His throw is low, but that one dug out at first on the backhand by Walsh. A nice 5-3 all around, and the inning is over. So Stanford leaves a runner stranded as we head to the third. It's the Cardinal 1 and the Ducks nothing. Dominic Hellman will lead it off upstairs fourth here on the farm. It's Stanford 1, Oregon nothing. Nick Dugan has put some runners on base, but he has escaped trouble every time. 3 runners left on for Oregon, though they have put 5 runners on base through the first 3 innings. Hellman singled to lead off the second, and he goes after the first pitch and crushes one deep to left center field. Ethan Hott will turn. Get out of here, baseball. A no-doubter off the crack of the bat from Dominic Hellman. 441 feet out to left center field. It's home run number 3 on the year for the sophomore, and Oregon ties this thing up at 1 here in the fourth. I think the most impressive thing about that is the pitch location, because it wasn't a bad first pitch from Dugan. 81 miles an hour on a breaking ball that was just a tick above the knees and on the outer half of the plate, but Hellman was locked on. First pitch to Maddox Maloney is taken for a strike. It's 0-1.
Locked on and just muscled it out of the park. I mean, there was no doubt about it.
Goes after the 0-1, fouls it away. Now it's 0-2. So finally the Ducks break through in the fourth after leaving the bases loaded in the third. The 0-2 pitch is down and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Dugan, a reminder, in that bottom half of the third, walked the bases loaded himself with 3 walks in that frame.
The 1-2. Hanging breaking ball, and that one's tattooed foul over the Oregon dugout on the third base side. Count holds it a ball and 2 strikes. Well, for Dugan in the game, pitch counts a little bit higher than you'd like, and that happens when you walk the bases loaded in an inning. Breaking ball down and away, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sitting at 65 pitches with nobody out here in the fourth. 2-2 is outside. Now it's 3-2.
No action in the Stanford bullpen right now, by the way.
We know from a pitch count perspective, Dugan can go close to triple digits as that one's chopped to short. Waiting is Haskins. He throws high, and somehow getting up and making the play is Larson at first. He had to get some go-go gadget legs to spring up in the sky and snare that one down and save an E6 on Haskins. What a play.
The go-go gadget legs and the Mikhail Baryshnikov feet. As once he landed, he kind of had to do some quick footwork, tap it down, and make a terrific play to bail out his teammate.
An exciting 6-3 ground out in this 1-1 game.
Not as exciting as the P4 we saw earlier today.
Touche. As that one sent in the air to shallow right center, a quartet of Cardinal in the area, and the right fielder Court McDonald calling everybody off, making the catch as he loses his cap for out number 2. All right, so let's catch our breaths. Couple of exciting outs back-to-back. And Drew Smith will hit with nobody on, 2 out here in the fourth in a 1-1 game. Smith walked to lead off the third. Dugan from the windup, his first pitch is a slider that stays high, 1 ball and no strikes.
Well done on the Inspector Gadget reference, by the way.
Oh, you know what? I may be young, but I am still old enough to remember that.
One of the all-time great cartoons.
The 1-0 is in there for a strike, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. And it's not every day you get to pull out an Inspector Gadget reference on air, so you take those moments when you can get them. The 1-1 is outside. It's 2-1.
Penny and Brain, of course, did all the work. Gadget got all the glory.
Yep.
Boy, Brain got his tail kicked on a few of those episodes. Jeez.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's right down the middle for a strike. Now it's 2-2. See, the deeper you go into showing your knowledge of the show, the further you're going to lose me because my knowledge is fairly baseline. The 2-2 pitch is hit hard over the bag at first and fair down the right field line. That's going to ricochet all the way to the corner. Around first is Smith, and he will cruise on into second base with a 2-out double.
Boy, that one just jammed off of Drew's bat, but he's able to just muscle it down the first base line with Larson not holding, not having a reason to, and it just shot right past him.
Second extra base hit of the inning for the Ducks. And Bryce Betcher, the center fielder, will hit with a chance to put Oregon in front. Betcher, a flyout victim to left field in the third. Cobb near the bag at second. First pitch curve drops in for a strike. It's 0-1.
Yeah, gorgeous curve there from Dugan, who can break that one out every once in a while.
4-pitch arsenal for Dugan. We've seen all 4 here, including that breaking ball, which has looked really sharp. That's a fastball stung out to deep center. Hot racing back, hot to the track. He leaps. Get out of here, baseball. Bryce Betcher over the wall in left center field. Second home run of the inning for the Ducks. 5th home run of the year for Betcher, and Oregon leads it 3-1 in inning number 4.
Well, Betcher entered this Stanford series on a 6-game hit streak. Had that snapped on Friday, got a hit yesterday, and is back in business here again today. Dugan oh so close to getting out of this half inning, having just given up the solo shot to Hellman. But then the close hit down the first base line by Smith. Betcher with the big bat, and the Ducks are in the lead for the first time today.
Garate takes outside 1-0. And the location on that fastball, while it was well off the plate, it was elevated. 1-0 off the end of the bat and through the left side for a base hit. Becerra tried to reach down, but he didn't have a prayer. And that's the 4th hit in the inning against Nick Dugan.
Well, and when the Ducks have made contact, it's been solid contact. We saw one go off the bat, I believe, of Meggers earlier in this game. That was 108 back up the middle and off of Dugan himself. And we've certainly seen the Ducks make even more solid contact so far here in the 4th.
Back to the top of the order, and Justin Casella, the left fielder for Oregon. First pitch breaking ball. That one's hammered deep to left. Not-eye to the track. Get out of here for the 3rd time in the inning. Justin Casella goes yard to left field. Oregon with 3 jacks in the frame, and it's suddenly 5-1 Ducks.
Boy, 3 swings of the bat. 4 if you want to count the double down the line from Smith. Completely changing the complexion of this game, and now Trevor Moore is sprinting down to the Stanford bullpen to start to get ready. Meanwhile, the Stanford infield telling Nick Dugan, hey, hang in there. Just get one more out and get out of this.
After the leadoff home run by Hellman, Dugan rebounded and got the next 2 outs. Since then, it's been double, homer, single, homer. Chase Meggers takes the first pitch strike. It's 0-1. So a 3-home run inning for the Ducks, leading to their first 5 runs of the game as that fastball misses outside.
And here you start to think back to Stanford leaving the bases loaded in the first inning.
Swing and a miss. Maybe a foul tip called into the glove of Malcolm Moore, and it's now 1-2. And now you give the Ducks 9 home runs in this weekend series, and we're not even 2.5 games deep. They're second in the Pac-12 in home runs. The 1-2, check swing in the dirt, an appeal down to third, and no swing, says Angel Campos.
The Ducks brought their hitting shoes with them.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Meggers, who is singled and walked. And the 2-2 flutters down and away. Went with the change piece. And now it's 3-2. Walsh is on deck. He's the only man not to hit this inning. Payoff. Down and in, ball 4. And that's now 5 consecutive runners to reach with 2 outs here in the 4th.
And yep, here comes Thomas Eager. The Kathy Wolf assistant coach in charge of the pitching staff. I wouldn't say it's the slowest walk I've seen from him. But
it's not a brisk one.
It's not a brisk one, no. not a high tempo to that stroll out to the mound. Trying to buy more time to warm up at the very least.
Pitch count at 84 for Dugan with 2 outs here in the 4th. But so much of the damage in this inning has come with 2 outs. A run was home on the home run by Hellman. Smith then doubled over the bag at first. Betcher homered. Garate singled through the left side. Casella homered, and now Meggers with a walk.
With Oregon's most dangerous bat of all coming to the plate.
And to Dugan's credit, as the meeting on the mound is adjourned, Dugan has done a really good job against Walsh today. Strikeout swinging in the first, and got him to fly out to left field last inning with the bases loaded, and that kept Stanford in front 1-0. Now a man on first base and 2 outs and 5 runs already home for the Ducks. Dugan needs to stop the bleeding. Swing and a foul tip in and out of the glove of Malcolm Moore. Got one to hit there, but Walsh comes up empty.
Shift is on for the Stanford infield. Becerra, the lone infielder between second and third. Haskins just to the other side of the bag with Cobb in shallow right.
The 0-1. Down and away. Dugan goes with a fastball. Doesn't get the call. And it's 1-1. Oregon up to 7 hits now against Dugan. The 1-1. Wave at and a miss by Walsh. Chases the changeup that was just an inch or 2 above the dirt, and now it's 1-2. So Dugan has done a good job of getting ahead against Walsh. Can he put him away again? The 1-2 is a fastball up and away. Becerra playing it short, effective, essentially at this point. 3 on the right side. 2-2. Runner goes. Pitch is lined up the middle and into center field for a base hit. Around second is Meggers. He will motor on into third as the throw goes into second. And another 2-out hit for Oregon will bring the 10th man to bat in the form of Dominic Hellman, who led off the inning with a home run.
Well, Walsh has had louder hits against Stanford, to be sure, but this one could be of import as well, as it could extend the inning. It will extend the inning and give Oregon the chance to put Stanford in an even deeper hole against a different pitcher.
And it will also chase Nick Dugan from the ballgame, as Dugan's day is done after 3 2/3. Ran into a roadblock in the 4th that he could not get past. 5 runs home for Oregon in the inning, and they're still batting as the Cardinal make a pitching change, and we'll have it for you when we come back. It's 5-1 Oregon here in the fourth. Trevor Moore, the first man out of the bullpen for the Cardinal here in the top of inning number 4. The Ducks have runners on first and third, with 2 down, and the Ducks have scored 5 times in the inning. They lead it 5-1. We are going to see a new hitter at the plate here as well for Oregon. That's number 77. That's Anson Arrows. Don't see too many 77s. That's why I had to double-check the roster, make sure we were right here. So Anson Arrows will bat with runners on the corners. This is in the spot of Dominic Hellman, who singled and homered. He homered earlier in this inning. So Arrows will bat. Meggers on third, Walsh on first. And Trevor Moore, the second-generation Stanford man, on the mound. Moore kicks in the first pitch, misses up and away, 1 ball and no strikes. Moore this season is 2-0 with a 5.35 earned run average. 38 2/3 innings. He struck out 41. Breaking ball misses outside. Now it's 2-0. Tenth man to bat in the inning for Oregon. They've homered 3 times. Moore delivers a 2-0. Poured in there for a strike. It's 2-1.
Arrows 2 for 5 on Friday against the Cardinal. Against UCSB on March 3rd. Had a pretty good day. Drove in a couple. Went 4 for 6. Redshirt sophomore from Auburn, California.
2-1. Just outside. Now it's 3-1. And all kinds of trouble here for Stanford getting this third out of the inning. It was a 1-1 game with nobody on and 2 outs. But since then, 6 consecutive have reached. And make that 7 consecutive as Trevor Moore misses. Ball 4 up and away, and now the Ducks have loaded the bases here in the fourth.
Of course, you can't close the book on Nick Dugan just yet, as he is still responsible for Meggers at third and Walsh at second. Dugan 3 2/3, 8 hits, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, 1 wild pitch, and 89 pitches of work.
And Dugan was good enough until the fourth. All 5 of those runs that have scored so far coming in this inning. Moore needs to get this last out. First pitch fouled off at the plate off the bat of Maddox Maloney, the shortstop. It's 0-1. Maloney 0 for 2. He struck out in the second, and he grounded out to short earlier this inning. The 0-1. Hit to third, backhanded by Becerra, and he gloves the bag to end the inning. But 5 runs come across for the Ducks, including home runs from Hellman, Betcher, and Casella. Halfway through the fourth, Oregon now leads it 5-1. Bottom of the fourth inning has arrived here at Sunken Diamond. It's Oregon 5 and Stanford 1. Oregon getting 5 runs on 6 hits in the fourth inning. They chase Nick Dugan. So now Stanford needs to chip away. The offense has been really good in this series, but they have not been able to take advantage of a lot of opportunities that Oregon has gifted the Card today. First pitch swinging is Brandon Larson, fouls that one off and past the Oregon dugout. Larson, a fly out to right in his only at-bat so far. That was back in the first. Stanford has left 4 on through the first 3. The 0-1, fastball at the knees for a strike from Kevin Sider, who's allowed just 1 unearned run through 3 innings so far. He scattered 3 hits and 2 walks with 1 strikeout, that being the first guy of the game, Owen Cobb. The 0-2. upstairs with a fastball, an 89, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And that fly out to right by Larson to end the first was deep to right field, just a few feet away from being potentially a grand slam. But as it was, Stanford left him loaded.
1-2. Backs Larson off the plate with a fastball. Tried to locate it knee high, evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Larson, Somm, and Haskins this inning for Stanford. As the wind picks up slightly, looks like it's blowing out to straightaway center. 2-2 fouled off left side out of play. That one will get beyond the concourse.
Wind not strong enough to make my hair start blowing around. That's the good news. That will take a lot, actually.
If you know, you know. 2-2 pitch is upstairs, and it's 3-2. I wasn't going to say it. Very deep in right field is Neville. 3-2. Line sharply into center, racing on his Betcher into a dive, and he makes the catch. Can he get there? You betcher he can. Bryce Betcher lays himself out in center field for out number 1.
Well, Betcher also plays for Oregon football. He converted from defensive back to inside linebacker this year. Made 37 tackles, 5 of them when Stanford faced the Ducks last fall. But I think Bryce kind of went back to his old defensive back ball skills on that sequence. Tracked it the whole way, went down and got it. That was impressive.
Somm takes the first one upstairs. Yeah, that first step for Betcher out there in center, the instincts are really good, and you can see why he's one in a long line of players who does both football and baseball. It's a much more common crossover than you'd think, and as a matter of fact, Caleb Hampton, they call him Champ here on the Stanford baseball squad. Yeah, he does both. Running back for Stanford football and outfielder for Stanford baseball as Somm puts a rip into one to deep center. This one sends Betcher back. He's to the wall. And get out of here, baseball. Charlie Somm sends one off the batter's eye in center field. It's his 7th home run of the season. And Stanford gets one back. It's 5-2.
Well, a good way to make sure that Betcher can't rob you of an extra base hit is to hit it over him and over the fence. 428 feet to dead center off the batter's eye. And the card back within striking distance here. Boy, when Somm gets a hold of one, as he has now 7 times this year, he can get it out of here.
First one to Trevor Haskins. He puts a charge into one into the left field corner. It's down for a base hit. Haskins around first base as it caroms off the wall, and he's into second base standing with a double. So all of a sudden, the Cardinal finding some life offensively against Kevin Sider here down in the order. A solid hit ball by Larson that was robbed by Betcher, and then a home run and double. And that brings up Timo Becerra.
No action in the Duck bullpen. I don't see anyone even heading in that direction necessarily as of right now. And Sider can give Oregon some innings. He did go 7 last week against USC.
Timo Becerra with a man in scoring position, and he's hit right on the waist of that first pitch. And now, while it's only the 4th, significant in the sense that you bring the tying run to the plate. So Stanford right back in this game and right back with a chance for a crooked number.
It's warm out there right now. Maybe get a little bit sweaty of sorts, and I think that ball just straight slipped for the most part out of Sider's hand. Stanford will try to take advantage here. And not a bad option to have here at the plate for the Cardinal right now, and Cobb at the top of the lineup.
One of the best hitters in this Stanford lineup, the leadoff man, up. He's 1 for 2 today. Sider looks back at second. First pitch is lined into right field down the line. That's a fair ball. Around third is Haskins. He'll score no problem. Up to third is Becerra. Stop sign held up there as Owen Cobb makes it a 5-3 game on a double into the right field corner.
Just a shot opposite field, down the line. Nifty piece of hitting by Owen Cobb.
So the shutdown inning well wrecked at this point. It's become a crooked number for the Card after they give up 5 in the fourth. They rebound with 2 so far here in the fourth and 2 more in scoring position, and Ethan Hott up to bat. Ethan Hott is 1 for 2. Corner infielders come in for Oregon. 4 consecutive runners have reached base for Stanford. Thought about pulling the trigger on the first pitch curve, takes a strike on the outside corner. Hott had a base hit in the first, lined out to center in the third. From the stretch, Sider, glove at the belt, the 0-1 pitch. Check swing, goes around, does Ethan Hott, says our home plate umpire, Nathan White. It's 0-2. Hitting with runners in scoring position has been a troublesome spot for the Cardinal all season long, but they're 2 for 5 today. 2 on, 1 out. And the 0-2 pitch from Sider is in the dirt. Breaking ball that kicks up the third base line. And everybody's going to stay where they are.
Which, given some of the things we've seen from base runners so far today, hasn't exactly been a given.
No, they made the right decision there. Runners at second and third. It's Cobb on second and Becerra on third. 5-3 Oregon. Tying run in scoring position for Stanford. Sider's 1-2. Swung on, line to short and right at Maloney, who took 1 step to his left and snagged it. It was hit well, but the old Adam ball for out number 2.
Hit basically right to Maloney. Just had to take 1 step over to his left and make the grab. Cobb able to scramble back into second.
So now the burden rests on the bat of Court McDonald.
The burden, that's heavy.
Well, for the 4th inning anyways.
Oh, okay.
5-3, Stanford trailing. First pitch to McDonald, misses outside. These are big moments in the game here, Troy. McDonald has had himself a good series. He's 5 for 9, and he's reached base safely now in 13 of the last 14. The 1-0 is on the outside corner for a strike. 1-1.
McDonald walked in the first, singled in the third. So he's been successful getting on base in his previous 2 plate appearances.
A lot of room in right center with Betcher shaded towards left. The 1-1. Backdoor breaking ball outside. 2-1 the count. The ever-dangerous Malcolm Moore on deck. Bullpen is quiet for Oregon. Pitch count at 70 for Sider. 2 down in the 4th. And the 2-1 stays high, 3-1.
Well, you've got some place to put McDonald. It also brings up Moore.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah.
One of the best power hitters in the nation on deck. 3-1 on McDonald. The offering is low, ball 4. And the bases are loaded for Stanford with 2 outs, and Malcolm Moore walks to the dish.
Thought that pitch had been called strike 1 earlier in that at bat. But Stanford will take this result with the big sophomore striding up to the plate and the chance to put Stanford either closer, even, or ahead with one swing of the bat here.
Moore has been aboard twice. He was hit by a pitch in the first. He walked in the third. Stanford will take either of those or perhaps more. First pitch to Malcolm misses low. 1 ball and no strikes. Went with the fastball. And now jogging down to the bullpen is Logan Mercado. So Oregon getting some bullpen activity here with the inning potentially about to unravel. Bases full of Card. More upright stance, it's open. And the 1-0 pitch is ripped to right field. Forget about it. Get out of here. Grand slam, Malcolm Moore. An absolute no-doubter for the reigning freshman of the year in the Pac-12. And a grand slam, his first hit with the bases loaded this season. Stanford leads 7-5.
How about 4 home runs this weekend for Malcolm Moore? And now Stanford, after giving up a big inning, has one of its own here today. Boy, has this game swung here in the 4th.
Remember when I said I thought we'd see a pitcher's duel today? I was wrong.
I wasn't.
I think I was the only one who took the under, as that one misses. Oh, no, that's a called strike, excuse me, and it's 0-1 on Jimmy Natai. 7-5 Stanford, a 6th spot here in the 5th after Oregon gets 5 in the top half, and Malcolm Moore with a grand slam. The exclamation point. The 0-1 stays high with a breaking ball. Now it's 1-1. So you were right. Home run number 4 of the series for Moore. Home run number 12 on the year for the sophomore. The 1-1. Outside, 2-1. And just when you thought Oregon had seized momentum and complete control of this game, the Stanford offense that has come to life here in the last couple of series has found it again. And Natai sends one to the alley in left center. Hanging with it is Casella, makes a running catch, and the inning is over. But Stanford scores 6 times, highlighted by the grand slam from Malcolm Moore. And the Cardinal lead at 7-5 as we head to the 5th here on the farm. Top of the 5th inning here on the farm, and Troy Clarity will take back over with the play-by-play. And partner, a lot's changed since the last time you had play-by-play duties.
A little bit. Stanford was up 1-0 after 2. Oregon with the big top half of the 4th. And now Stanford answering right back as the Cardinal lead the Ducks 7-5. Winner of this one wins the series and gets an important series win as we get deeper into the Pac-12 calendar. But of course, the work's still not done yet for either squad. Mason Neville leading things off for Oregon here in the top half of the 5th. Struck out in the 2nd and flew out to right in the 4th with Trevor Moore, the second pitcher of the day for the Cardinal, dealing upstairs and outside for ball 1. Nick Dugan, the Stanford starter, 3 2/3, 8 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 4 walks and 4 strikeouts. Moore deals the 1-0, fly ball to left field, drifting back. Natai still going back to the track, reaches out and makes the catch just shy of the wall. So Natai had to reach out just a little bit to make the grab, but he's able to haul it in. 1 away. Drew Smith walked in the 3rd, doubled and scored in the 4th. Moore deals, fastball, swing and a miss down low for strike 1 to Drew Smith. Well, after that 4th inning, Stanford has now had 10 big innings this year. That's innings where they've scored 4 or more runs in an inning. Here's a fly ball heading down the right field line, ranging over. McDonald makes the grab for out number 2. So 10 big innings for Stanford this year, with 3 of them coming so far this weekend. Now, Stanford is 7-1 entering today in games with a big inning. Now, on the flip side, Cardinal have now allowed 12 big innings to their opponents this year. Stanford 1-9 entering today in games allowing a big inning. So those trends are kind of at odds with each other. Here's a result of that 4th inning here today. Bryce Betcher, a 2-run shot in the 4th inning, looks at the first pitch, a fastball for strike 1.
So what I'm hearing from you, Troy, is it's going to be a tie. Right?
Well, depends on when Oregon needs to get out of here. It is a travel day. The 0-1. Betcher ducks down out of the way of that one. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. So Stanford allowing and recording a big inning in the same day. 1 ball and 1 strike. Fastball collapsed, I believe, perhaps off of Moore's glove. Count goes to 2-1. Stanford with that 9-run 8th inning on Friday to go along with a 6-run 4th inning that day. The bulk of the damage in that 19-7 win over the Ducks in the series opener. Betcher ahead in the count 3-1.
And how about an 11-run inning against Sacramento State earlier in the week?
Yep. The 3-1. High chop, snagged by Becerra. The throw to first in time for the out. Becerra flashing the glove, and a very welcome for Stanford. 3 up and 3 down. Bottom 5th in just a moment. Cards lead the Ducks 7-5. Stanford leading as we head to the bottom of the 5th. And the Ducks have turned to a new pitcher in Logan Mercado, whom we saw heading to the bullpen in the bottom half of the 4th when Stanford was dropping the 6th spot on the Ducks. Mercado, a senior from Pasco, Washington, went to Tri-Cities Prep there. First batter that he faces is Brandon Larson, who has been robbed of a couple of extra base hits. A deep shot to right field that was caught at the wall, and a gorgeous diving grab to begin the 4th inning in center by Bryce Betcher. This ball's not going to go anywhere near as far, slicing, but staying in fair territory. Garate makes the grab, 1 away. Mercado's numbers on the year, about to make his 17th appearance, or he is making his 17th appearance of the start now after throwing that pitch. No wins or losses, an ERA of 3 flat, 6 saves, 24 innings, 19 hits, 8 runs all earned, 29 strikeouts, 14 walks, opposing batters hitting .218 against Mercado. Charlie Somm with a home run to get the big inning started for Stanford in the bottom of the 4th. Looks at a slider, catches the outside corner, strike 1 to Somm here. Final line on Kevin Sider, the Duck starter, 4 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, 6 of them earned. 3 walks, 1 strikeout, 2 hit batters, 1 wild pitch. Could be playable with Jacob Walsh giving chase, but that ball just falls in the front of the Stanford bullpen for a long strike 2. So it has been an eventful game so far. Big innings for both teams. Double rundowns that led to 8-minute umpiring delays. Base runners getting thrown out left and right. The 0-2. Fastball, Somm holds up. This game helping to prove the old adage, you always see something new every day at the ball yard. Certainly this has been a unique combination in the first 4.5 innings of this one. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Slider just misses, maybe a touch high as well. 2-2 to Som. Give you some scores around the rest of the Pac-12 right now. It's all tied up as Washington State has evened things up 6-6, bottom ninth, down in Tucson between the Wildcats and the Cougars. The 2-2 pitch to Som, cracked into center field. Som with his second base hit of the day. Som continues to see the ball quite well as he has been able to put together some terrific at-bats over the last few weeks. That trend continues, and it brings up Trevor Haskins. Haskins reached on a throwing error in the second inning, a throwing error by Duck third baseman Carter Garate, and later came around to score on an RBI single by Owen Cobb. Swings and misses. Breaking ball, strike one to Haskins, who doubled and scored in the fourth. No balls and one strike with Som at first. Off the fists, dropping down into right field and in front of Neville. So a soft looper to the right field line, towards the right field line, and it's back-to-back singles for the Cardinal.
And the bottom of the order, Troy, has been paramount for Stanford all day long in getting these rallies going. You go back to the second when Stanford got on the board. It was Haskins who reached base on a throwing error, got the inning started, eventually came around to score, and then starting with the seventh-place guy, Charlie Som, his home run got Stanford going in the fourth before they eventually added on with that grand slam by Malcolm Moore.
Yeah. Timo Becerra will try to keep it going. With 2 on and 1 out, pops this one up, and foul and out of play. And as much as I'd like to think otherwise, somehow I don't think 7 runs is going to be enough for Stanford in this one. I'd love to be proven wrong. We'll see how it goes. That's the beauty of this thing. Another score, this one from Westwood, Arizona State hammering UCLA in the bottom of the fifth. It's 11-1. Sun Devils breaking out the forks on the Bruins. No balls and 1 strike to Becerra. Crack to center field. It's a fly ball as Betcher ranges over, has a beat on it, and makes the catch for the second out. Brings up Owen Cobb. Cobb a single to drive in Trevor Haskins in the second. And an RBI double later came around to score in the fourth. With 2 on and 2 out. Fouled back our way almost. Top of the 6th in Irvine, California, where USC is playing the bulk of their home games this year while they bring Dato Field up to code. Sacramento State leading USC 4-3. That's in the top of the 6th. Beavers on top of the Bears 3-2 across the bay in the bottom of the 7th. No balls and 1 strike. Cobb reaches out, fouls that one off, 0-2. Oregon State in first place in the Pac-12 standings entering today. Oregon in second. Those 2 teams meet this upcoming weekend. And that'll be at Goss Stadium. Oh boy, that place is going to be rocking. No balls and 2 strikes. With 2 on and 2 out. Back up the middle. Drops down for a base hit. Som being given the green light. He comes around. Here comes the throw. Som is in. Card tacked on another one. 8-5 as Owen Cobb does the job once again.
Great day for the Stanford leadoff man with now 3 hits. Give him his first ribby of the afternoon. And again, the bottom of the order so pivotal in giving Stanford these opportunities for the guys up top to drive them home. And here this afternoon, they've done exactly that. And it's a sign of a growing and maturing offense they're starting to produce with runners in scoring position.
Ethan Hott will try to keep it going. He's 1 for 3 today. Fastball, high strike called. 0-1 to Hott. Washington and Utah get going at 6 p.m. Pacific time in Salt Lake City. No balls and 1 strike. Fly ball to left, Casella. Couple steps over, couple steps back, makes the catch, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. Card add 1 more thanks to an RBI single by Owen Cobb. End of 5, Stanford 8, Oregon 5. Stanford with an 8-5 lead over Oregon. We begin the 6th inning, and Brian Brownfield retakes the mic.
Thanks, Troy. It's the 9-1 and 2 hitters for Oregon here in this half of the inning against Trevor Moore. Carter Garate will open it up. He's 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. Moore, if you recall, took over in the 4th for Nick Dugan, who went 3 2/3. He got the final 2 outs of that inning, or the final 1 out of that inning, and then went 1-2-3 in the 5th. Lefty at the plate, righty Trevor Moore on the mound. And his first pitch from the windup is swung on and sliced foul. Left side out of play.
Well, we mentioned this is a getaway day for the Oregon Ducks, but they're not getting away very far. Matter of fact, they're not even getting on a plane. They play the USF Dons tomorrow. So they might not be in as big of a rush as normal here on a Sunday.
0-1 is upstairs, 1 ball and 1 strike. They'll head up to Benedetti Diamond after the Dons wrap up their 3-game series in Moraga. Gales winners of the first 2 there, St. Mary's over USF. Well, that USF pitching staff's really good. The offense is just not there this year, as that one is fouled over into the Oregon bullpen.
Pitching can take you a long way, but at some point you got to get runs across somehow. Don's perhaps a living epitome of that, I guess.
Yeah, based off of what I've seen from them this year, that is 100% factually correct. The 1-2 jam shot, slow roller left side, charging Haskins, and it gets under his glove. It's going to stay right at second base, and reaching safely is Garate. So a tough play on the jam shot. Haskins had to charge it quick, make a quick decision, but he winds up coming up empty, and we'll wait on the official scoring, which we're going to say infield single.
Yeah, that would have been a very, very tough play to make once Haskins was able to make the transfer. The momentum carrying him towards home plate, that angle he would have had at first would have been extremely difficult.
So back to the top of the order for Oregon and Justin Casella. Man on, nobody out. And Casella takes outside ball 1. Casella's been aboard twice. He walked in the 3rd, and the last time we saw him, he launched a 2-run home run to cap off a 5-run 4th inning for Oregon. At that point, it put him in front 5-1. The pitch. Down and in, 2 balls and no strikes. I have a guest on my notes, and it won't go away.
Yes, you do. It's like Wild Kingdom over here.
The 2-0 pitch swung on and fouled, perhaps, I believe, out of the glove of Malcolm Moore as Garate was running.
You okay over there?
I think so.
Okay, good.
Whenever you see an oblong-shaped flying insect, you're just trying to figure out how to get it to go away, and it won't. But it's not causing any harm. It's just chilling.
Just a nuisance.
Yeah, the 2-1 is swung on, and another foul tip, this time into the glove of Malcolm Moore, and it's 2-2.
What was it, the game on Tuesday? There was a yellow jacket flying around the press box, and it was kind of swooping around me a little bit while the Sacramento State Hornets were hitting a home run, ironically enough. Maybe the yellow jacket knew. I don't know.
That's poetic timing. This is an aside, but have you ever been stung?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I'd like to keep that streak going.
Me too. 2-2, runner bluffs, swung on and missed. Moore gets Casella to chase down. And that's strikeout number 5 for Stanford pitching here in inning number 6.
Yeah, by and large, a very good pitch sequence there by Moore, finishing him off with the breaking ball. And Casella found it too tasty, couldn't resist it.
One away for Chase Meggers. Meggers has reached base safely 3 times, 1 single, 2 walks. 8-5 Stanford here in the 6th. Step off, throw to first, and back in with a dive is Garate.
Yeah, never been stung, but I'm not gonna kill bees because we need them.
Correct.
We need those guys.
I'm also just slightly afraid of trying to shush one away and then it getting pissed off and then it comes back. And so I don't want to mess with it. Line to left field. Shaded towards the line was Natai, and he angles himself properly, makes the catch. And out number 2. That's some great defensive positioning coming from the dugout.
Yep. Natai perfectly placed for that one.
So 2 outs now for Walsh, and always a good spot to face Walsh when he's at the plate and cannot put Oregon ahead in a 3-run game and a man on. 2 down here in the 6th, 8-5 Stanford.
Now, for outfield positioning against Walsh, is it okay if you just put everyone on top of the fence, on top of the outfield fence?
Feels like sometimes that might be the best route to go. But again, Stanford pitching today, and the first 3 at-bats were all Nick Dugan, keeping him in check. It was a base hit by Walsh that chased Dugan. Another throw back to first base, but strikeout and a fly out to left with the bases loaded. So all things considered, he really hasn't hurt the Cardinal yet today. As I knock on wood, it's 1-0.
Walsh, Oregon's all-time home run leader. Terrific high school recruit, top 5 first baseman nationally. He's had a terrific career in Eugene.
1-0. That's low, 2 balls and no strikes. And considering he is draft eligible, will be very interesting to see where he might slot in the MLB first-year player draft if he chooses to perhaps come back and use his senior year. 2-0 pitch. Good swing, but fouled back to the screen off the end of the bat. It's 2-1.
Walsh shift is on again, but with a slight variation. Becerra at third, just a couple steps ahead of the bag, standing on the lip of the grass and the infield dirt. But again, it's Haskins, the shortstop, to the other side of the second base bag, and Owen Cobb, the second baseman, in shallow right. Before they had Becerra more or less playing shortstop in that shift last time Walsh was up.
2 balls and a strike. The pitch fouled over the screen, out of play.
And it was funny because when Stanford was in that shift in Walsh's last plate appearance, Walsh hit it to a spot where if they'd been in normal alignment, if Haskins was playing a normal shortstop position, he would have gotten to that easily for an L6.
The shift giveth and the shift taketh away sometimes.
Now they bring Becerra back to between second and third.
2-2. High, ball 3. Perhaps Stanford in that situation thinking maybe Walsh, knowing he can't put Oregon ahead, maybe he tries to lay one down. But not going to happen here with the count 3-2 and 2 outs in the 6th.
All due respect, if I got Jacob Walsh at my disposal, I'm not sending him up to the plate to lay one down.
No. I completely agree with you. Garate will get a head start. Lined into center field. That's a base hit, and it's going to go all the way to the wall. Around third base is Garate. He will score as Walsh cruises into second base with a double. It was hit to straightaway center, but with where Hott was shaded to the alley in left center, left a lot of real estate out there, And an RBI double for Walsh makes it 8-6 and give Walsh 45 ribbies on the year.
Boy, we paid a lot of attention to what the infield was doing with its positioning. The outfield position may be a little bit unconventionally there. As if that had been a more conventional positioning in the outfield there for the Cardinal, that might not have done as much damage as it did, but Jacob Walsh doing what he does, continuing to feast on Stanford pitchers. 14th RBI against Stanford in Walsh's career.
Here's Anson Arrows, the designated hitter, who's up for the second time today. Takes the first pitch high, 1 ball, no strikes. Arrows walked in the fourth. It was the second time the designated hitter spot hit in the fourth. Hellman singled and homered in his first 2 at-bats before Arrows took over. The 1-0. Grounded slowly to first. Waiting for it is Larson. He will underhand to Moore, who covers, and the inning is over. An RBI double for Walsh gets Oregon 1 run closer, but Stanford holds on to an 8-6 lead halfway through the 5th. Dangerous part of the order for Stanford in the bottom of the 6th. It's Stanford 8 and Oregon 6, rubber game of this 3-game Pac-12 series. 3, 4, and 5 for the Card. It's McDonald, Malcolm Moore, and Natai, who played pivotal roles in Stanford getting the lead back in the 4th with a 6 spot. First pitch from Logan Mercado, a called strike to Court McDonald. McDonald has reached base safely all 3 times. He's walked twice, he's singled. He's also scored a run. And his walk in the 4th kept the line rolling for Malcolm Moore, who homered directly after. The 0-1 is low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Mercado dealing to McDonald.
Yeah, Stanford's been dangerous almost 1 through 9. Now, Natai in the 5 spot and Larson in the 6 spot, the only 2 Cardinal without a base hit so far today. But for Larson, it's not for lack of trying. Just a couple of outstanding defensive plays have denied him a base hit so far.
2 balls and a strike on McDonald, who watches that one bounce in the dirt. 6 runs, 10 hits, an error for Oregon. 8 runs, 10 hits, no errors for Stanford. Offense has been the name of the game all week here on the farm. The 2-1 pitch. McDonald puts a charge into one to deep center as Betcher races back. Now he backpedals onto the track and makes the catch out there in deep center field. Well, what I was going to say, Troy, was it's been the name of the game in every sport, really except for softball, the game, of course, you called on Friday night, in which it was a 1-0 affair that went into 9. That trend even holds true if you talk about Stanford beach volleyball and what they went through on Friday against Washington in one of the craziest beach volleyball sets in the history of NCAA beach volleyball.
Oh, do tell.
Malcolm Moore's up, and his first pitch that he sees is a strike at the knees. In the third flight, which had already gone into a third set, of course in beach volleyball it's a first to 15. The third set, Stanford won 39-37. That is not a mistake. Moore takes it down and in, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Holy smokes. They didn't just go rock, scissors, paper after 30?
It took an hour and 45 minutes to complete 1 flight. And Stanford eventually swept Washington 5-0. The 1-0, or 1-1, Moore rips it down the right field line. It's foul. Now the count 1-2.
Smoke that one.
Now the NCAA does not have a record book for beach volleyball. It's a newer sport. It's only been around for about 11 years or so as a sponsored sport. They have an NCAA championship record book. But to the best of our knowledge and the sports information staff, there's never been a beach volleyball set to go to 39 points. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Moore, who hit a grand slam his last time up. Moore's jammed and pops one up back of third, left side. Garate out a couple steps onto the outfield grass, and he's got it for out number 2. That was all part of a perfect weekend for Stanford Beach Volleyball. They won 4 times to close out the home portion of their schedule. They have the Pac-12 championships coming up this weekend, or this upcoming weekend, I guess I should say. And beach volleyball was just part of the festivities of Cardinal Palooza.
Yes, indeed.
Here on campus yesterday and really all weekend long. First pitch to Jimmy Natai. He waves at and misses. It's 0-1. Had home beach volleyball, home softball, home baseball, and the Stanford Football Spring Showcase inside Stanford Stadium. The 0-1 from Mercado drifts down and away, 1 ball and a strike.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get caught up on the Spring Football Showcase myself as I was over in Berkeley, of all places, on Pac-12 Network lacrosse duty. Meanwhile, it has gone final next door. UCLA getting the sweep over Stanford. They beat the Cardinal 2-0 today. And so now the Bruins have taken first place in the Pac-12.
It is a tough task to go to Smith Family Field and take 3 in a row from Stanford, especially when you know Nigeri Kennedy is going to pitch a lot. As Natai golfs at one, sends it to deep left center field. Back is Casella. Get out of here, baseball. Maybe not the prettiest of swings from Jimmy Natai, but it does the trick. Home run number 4 on the season for Jimmy Natai. His first hit of the series, and Stanford's back up by 3. It's 9-6.
So Natai able to join the hit parade in one of the best fashions possible. 394 feet into the trees. And a much-needed run for Stanford as they're able to reestablish their 3-run lead.
Here's Brandon Larson, now the only man in the Stanford lineup to not reach base today. First pitch to him is outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Looking at the K-zone from that last pitch, it was down in the zone, but it was center cut. And even though Natai maybe golfed at it a touch, if you square it up the way the ball's flying today, it's gone. 1-0, check swing bouncer back behind home plate. It's 1-1.
So Stanford came into the series in softball with a 2.5-game lead over the Bruins. That's been whittled away. UCLA now a half game up on the Cardinal. And look, hats off to UCLA. That's a heck of a program. They've got terrific players. Taylor Tinsley probably put her name on the national stage, especially with her performance on Friday against the Cardinal. That was a great game all the way around to be a part of on Friday.
The 1-1 is up and away, 2-1.
And it's just further proof of just how difficult the Pac-12 is in softball once again.
Well, that's why that weekend series, one of the most highly anticipated, if not in Pac-12 play, but perhaps in the NCAA all season long.
Yep.
A couple of teams ranked inside the top 11. 2-1 misses just a bit outside. Now it's 3-1 on Larson. Stanford came into the weekend ranked number 5, UCLA number 11. It's going to be a fun battle to the end of the regular season atop the softball standings, and it's going to be the same on the baseball side. 3-1, Larson off the end of the bat, lifts that one foul and past the top row of seats.
Well, and Stanford's got a couple of tough opponents to close out the regular season in Pac-12 softball play. Oregon and Washington, both teams in the top 25 entering this weekend. So they've certainly got a bit of work to do before they host the Pac-12 tournament here in a few weeks.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Larson. 2 outs in the 6th, 9-6 Stanford. And the payoff, Larson swings and misses. Can't catch up to the Mercado fastball, and the inning is over. But Jimmy Natai launches a solo home run out to left center field. It's the 10th Stanford home run of the weekend. And we head to the 7th. It's Stanford 9 and Oregon 6. Maddox Maloney will lead it off for the Ducks. as they trail by 3 runs here in the top of the 7th at Stanford 9, Oregon 6. Oregon 6 runs, 10 hits, an error. Stanford 9 runs on 11 hits, including 3 home runs, and the Jimmy Natai home run in the bottom of the 6th to add a cushion. Maloney, Neville, and Smith to lead it off. Maloney 0 for 3, reached on a fielder's choice in the 4th. First pitch against Trevor Moore is poured in there for a strike. So Moore has now gone 2 1/3. The pitch count for Moore at 35 in relief of Nick Dugan. Fastball misses high, 1 ball and 1 strike. The longest we've seen Moore go this season, 4 2/3. That was against San Jose State in a start back in February. Line drive to center. It's going to hang up for Ethan Hutt, who moves in a couple steps, makes the catch. And Maloney's now 0 for 4.
Dugan also had a 6-out save against Creighton on March 25th. But so far, he has, by and large, been able to keep Oregon from busting out.
There's Mason Neville, the right fielder, hitless in 3 tries, including a strikeout. First time through the order, Nick Dugan struck out 4. Since then, just 1 Stanford strikeout. First pitch breaking ball from Moore stays high, 1 ball and no strikes. It's an Oregon team that's ranked number 16 in multiple of the NCAA baseball polls. They are as high as number 14, as that one's a called strike on Neville. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. That's the highest they've been in any poll this season. That's in the NCBWA poll. 1-1. Misses down and away, 2 balls and a strike. It's been a steady climb for this Oregon team all season long. They were preseason number 4 in the conference, but they just refused to lose series. It's now 3-1 on Neville.
Took 2 out of 3 against Arizona in late March. That's been a big reason why they've been able to stay at the top of the Pac-12 standings.
3-1 is crushed to deep right field. McDonald can forget about it. Get out of here, baseball. It's over the scoreboard in right field by Mason Neville. His 8th home run of the season. And Oregon gets one back. The teams are trading solo jacks here in the later innings. It's now 9-7 Stanford. .473 feet to right field.
Don't see that number too often.
Here's Drew Smith. And the first pitch by Moore is taken down low. So that's now 4 home runs today for Oregon. That gives them 10 in the series. So we've seen 20 home runs in this 3-game series. As Smith swings and misses, it's 1-1.
No warm-ups right now. There are a couple of bodies in the Stanford bullpen right now, but no one's warming up.
From the windup goes Moore, and the 1-1 is lined softly into right field. That falls in front of Court McDonald for a hit. And that's hit number 12 for the Ducks today, and it will bring the tying run up to the plate in the form of Bryce Betcher.
Inside out swing by Smith. He's now 2 for 3. And has reached base 3 times in 4 plate appearances so far this afternoon.
So there's a mound visit between the two Moores. And Jeffrey Hurd is going to grab a bat and hit here for the Ducks as he represents the tying run. So Jeffrey Hurd will hit. a left-handed hitter, 6'2", 210 in his junior season. Local product from here anyways. He's from San Jose, went to Valley Christian High, and transferred into the Oregon program from Sacramento State. Hurd is a .319 hitter, .905 the OPS. He's got 3 home runs. And he's driven home 24. First pitch swinging, sends one towards second. Cobb underhands to second for one. On to first, it is not in time. So Hurd on the first pitch bounces into a fielder's choice. The card cut down the leading runner. And the at-bat is quickly over for Hurd before we can even bring up the Ticonderoga bat that he was swinging.
I thought I was seeing things there for a moment.
So here's the 9th place man in Carter Garate. That's, I think, the second time I've seen it this year in which a player has gone up swinging a bat that is colored to look like a number 2 pencil. The eraser on top. As Moore steps off and throws to first base to keep Hurd close.
Start having flashbacks to Scantron tests and all that stuff.
Are they pleasant flashbacks?
I got into Stanford. What do you think?
That's a good point. Throw goes back to first. So 2 in a row to keep Hurd close. What'd you finish with at Stanford? What was the GPA?
I got my degree. We'll leave it at that.
So maybe the memories weren't as pleasant as that one's taken outside for a ball to Carter Garate. It's 1-0.
Well, we had Scantron tests in high school and elementary and junior high and all that.
You had them in elementary school?
Yeah, we did. We sure did.
Garate's been aboard twice. He's got 2 singles and 2 runs scored, and he rips a liner foul over the top of the Stanford bullpen down the right field line.
Yeah, that was smoked, landing just beyond the bullpen and behind the Diamond Terrace, which looks well populated down that way. There is action in the Stanford bullpen. Can't quite tell because of where our vantage point is and how far it is away. Can't quite tell exactly whom it is, but we can tell you it's a right-hander.
Another foul ball, this one to the left side, so now Trevor Moore ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Top of the order, and Justin Casella looming in the on-deck circle. It's 9-7 Stanford. A run home this inning for the Ducks on the solo home run by Mason Neville. 1-2. Moore throws to Moore. Breaking ball. Bounce slowly up the first base side. Larson gobbles it up, steps on the bag, and the inning is over. So another run comes across for Oregon, but it's just the one. And it's time to stretch here at Sunken Diamond. It's Stanford 9 and Oregon 7. Feeling loose and limber post-stretch here on the farm. It's Stanford 9, Oregon 7. Brian Brownfield and Troy Clarity with you. In Game 3 of this Pac-12 series, Stanford trying to win it. It'd be a win over a ranked squad, and it would be just the second series lost for Oregon this year. As Charlie Somm leads it off for the Card. Somm will be followed by Haskins and Becerra. This is the part of the order, while 7, 8, 9, that has done a lot of damage today. First pitch by Logan Mercado is fouled off towards the berm down the right field line. Somm has reached base twice today. He homered in the 4th. He singled in the 5th. So he scored twice. Haskins has been aboard 3 times, and Becerra has also been aboard and scored. The 0-1 is in the dirt. Backhand pick made by Meggers. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Somm 2 for 3. Haskins 2 for 3. Becerra 0 for 2, but was hit by a pitch and scored. That'll play from your 7, 8, 9 hitters. The 1-1 on the outside corner with a good fastball from Mercado. Now it's 1-2.
64 runs combined for both teams in this series so far, and it's not even done yet.
Yeah, you said earlier you don't think 7's enough. Do you think 9's enough? 1-2 down and away.
It's better than 7, I'll tell you that much.
That's true, because 7 wouldn't have been enough, because Oregon's gotten up to 7 after runs in the 6th and 7th innings, the one in the 7th courtesy of Mason Neville and a solo home run. Som's homer came in the 4th, made it a 5-2 Stanford deficit at the time. But it was the first of 6 runs scored in the 4th inning. That fastball is going to ring up Charlie Som. Back-to-back strikeouts for Mercado. There's one away.
Yeah, Mercado just fired that one in there, and Som, I don't think, was quite expecting it. A punch-out. Torrin O'Haron is warming up for Stanford in the Cardinal bullpen, by the way.
Looks like it's going to be O'Haron to take over in the 8th to try and perhaps get the final 6 outs, but at least get the first 3 of those 6. Here's Haskins. First pitch to Trevor is a called strike on the outside corner. Haskins has reached base safely now in 15 of his last 16 games, and the average is now pushing near 500 during that span. The 0-1 to Haskins is lifted in the air to shallow right center field. Betcher into the alley in front of Neville. He's got it for out number 2. Again, just so many of these Stanford hitters starting to find their stride here in the back half of the year. It's why the numbers have been steadily climbing up. And it's why the Stanford offense has a little bit of pop to it that we were so accustomed to seeing last year and in years past. Stanford with 10 home runs in this 3-game weekend series so far. It's just... well, it's the first time this year that they've had 7 in a series, as that's a called strike on the outside corner to Becerra. Do you know how many times last year Stanford had 7 home runs in a series?
Off the top of my head, no, but I'll guess 3?
5 times.
Okay.
The 0-1 pitch to Becerra is low, 1 ball and 1 strike. When you're one of the most home run friendly teams in the country, as Stanford was last season, but losing so much of that production year over year. I mean, Stanford lost, 77% of its home runs hit from last year. Breaking ball down and away to Becerra. It's 2-1.
Well, when 9 of your guys go to the draft and get drafted, you start there, and a couple other folks make some decisions, well, you have basically a retooled and brand new batting lineup that you hope gets better as the season goes along.
Becerra in the air towards the Stanford dugout. That will get over the netting and into the seats. But it's a great sign when you look at the way the schedule plays out the rest of the way for Stanford. And I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could make some noise and get back into the upper half of the Pac-12 standings. They entered play today just 4 games back of Arizona, but mired in 7th in the standings. The 2-2 pitch, Becerra sends one to short. Maloney slides to his right, whips it across, and the inning is over. That's a rare 1-2-3 inning. It's the first of the day for Oregon pitching. And we head to the 8th. Stanford trying to hold on to this one. They lead it 9-7. Top of inning number 8, Stanford dipping back into the bullpen with a 2-run advantage. And here to take you the rest of the way is Troy Clardy.
Thank you, Brian. Torrin O'Haron is the new pitcher for the Cardinal, as Stanford is ahead 9-7 and trying to get a series win over a top 20 ranked team in the Oregon Ducks. O'Haron making his 2nd appearance of this series. He threw 3 on Friday, got charged with a run along the way. The sophomore from Rockland, California, about to make his 17th appearance of the season. Has a 1-2 record, an ERA of 4.50. 4 saves to his credit. 26 innings, 19 hits, 13 runs, all earned. 36 strikeouts, 18 walks. Opposing batters hitting .204 against O'Haron. 3 wild pitches and 2 hit batters. He'll start at the top of the order for the Ducks. It's Justin Casella, who hit a 2-run home run in the 4th inning, part of the 5-run eruption for the Ducks in that frame. O'Haron's first pitch, fastball popped up, could be playable. Moore trying to find it, settles under it, and he makes the catch. Thank goodness for all that foul room behind home plate here at Sunken Diamond. One away.
Yeah, and you can't understate how difficult, or I guess you can't overstate how difficult of a play that is for Malcolm Moore behind the plate, because there is so much room, but it starts to kind of play with your mind a little bit. As a catcher, you're not used to having to cover that much ground and look straight up for the ball. So a really nice play for out number 1.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. You have to throw off the mask. You have to maybe negotiate a slope in some parks. This one's a shot to center field, but Hott able to make the catch, retiring Chase Meggers, who is now 1 for 3 on the afternoon. 2 pitches, 2 outs for Torrin O'Haron. Brings up Jacob Walsh. Walsh 2 for 4 today, including an RBI double in the 6th inning. With his 2 for 4 performance so far today, that means that in his career against Stanford, Walsh is batting .463 with 6 home runs and 14 driven in. That's in his career against Stanford. Homered 3 times in the series against the Cardinal up at PK Park last year. Hit .438, drove in 4 in the series here in this building 2 years ago. Looks at the first pitch strike from Torrin O'Haron here. No balls and 1 strike. Off speed outside, 1 ball and 1 strike to Walsh. So I'm sure that if and when Walsh's name gets called in the Major League Baseball draft, perhaps this summer, David Esker and the Stanford coaches might be throwing a party, a send-off party. So they'll be glad not to have to deal with that young man anymore. Probably will have a lot of company around the rest of the Pac-12 too, as Walsh has just been terrific. Junior from Las Vegas, facing the 2-1. Curve. Stays upstairs, 3-1. Oregon scoring 5 times in the top of the 4th, taking a 5-1 lead, but then Stanford answering with 6 in the bottom of the 4th. That, by and large, has been the key sequence today. The 3-1. And Walsh walks. So 3rd time today that Walsh has been on base. Brings up Anson Arrows. Arrows came on as a pinch hitter in the 4th inning as he walked in the 5th and then grounded out to first in the 6th. O'Haron deals. Pitch upstairs and outside for ball 1. Time called momentarily. Now O'Haron steps back onto the mound. Lifted high and deep, but well foul. As Arrows early on that swing. Count goes to 1-1. It's been a bit of a home run derby here at Sunken Diamond. Ducks have hit 4 today. Cardinal hit 2. 1 ball and 1 strike. And that is upstairs 2-1. Of course, the biggest home run of them all, so far anyway, has been the grand slam by Malcolm Moore. That was the biggest blow as part of that 6-run 4th inning for the Cardinal. The 2-1. High, 3-1. And after retiring the first 2 batters faced on just 2 pitches, O'Haron has gone to 3 ball counts on the next 2 batters he's faced. Walking Walsh, what's he going to do with Arrows here? Pops him up. Fly ball to left field. Natai comes in and makes the catch to retire the side. 9-7, Stanford with the lead. Bottom of the 8th in just a moment from Sunken. Bottom of the 8th inning, top of the Stanford order. Cobb, Hott, and McDonald due up for the Cardinal, with Stanford taking a 9-7 lead to the bottom of the 8th. Stanford, I'm sure, would not mind extending that lead, getting a little bit of insurance along the way. Cobb has been in a good place so far today. He's 3 for 4 with 3 driven in. Mercado still on the mound for the Ducks. First pitch is high for ball 1. Cobb, an RBI single in the 2nd, an RBI double. Later came around to score in the 4th, and an RBI single in the 5th. A 1-0 pitch. Cobb waits for it. And the appeal to first base umpire Frank Flugart. Frank says nope, he held up. Count goes to 2-0. So Cobb this weekend, 6 of 13 with 8 RBI. 2-0. Count goes to 2-1, called strike 1. So Cobb certainly one of many players in this series who are going to come away from this weekend with gaudy offensive numbers. The 2-1. Crack down the line, past a diving Karate, and down the line for a base hit. Cobb hustling into second with a stand-up double.
Stay hot, Owen Cobb, and if Stanford is going to do anything in postseason play this season, they're going to need a guy like Owen Cobb at the top of the order to continue to stay hot. And that's why I like the way the lineup is currently constructed right now, with how Cobb has been swinging the bat. Hott and McDonald have been really good as of late, which has coincided with Pac-12 play. And then you have Malcolm Moore, who at any given moment can leave the yard. You put those 4 guys at the top. If they're getting on base, this Stanford lineup is sneaky dangerous.
Ethan Hott 1 for 4. Shows bunt. Fouls it off. 0-1, the count to Ethan Hott. Yeah, part of me says, hey, why not keep Moore as he has been for much of the season in that 3 spot? We've seen him in the leadoff spot on a couple of occasions to make sure that he gets an at-bat in that first inning. But the way things have worked out lately, can't argue with it. Cobb at second. Hott shows bunt again. Bounces back to Mercado. No play at third. The throw to first gets him there. So Cobb advances over to third on the play. Court McDonald. 4 plate appearances, has reached 3 times. Officially 1 for 2 on the day with a couple of walks. With Cobb over at third. Cobb dancing around that way. The Oregon infield is in. Breaking ball blocked by Meggers. We should note that there was a defensive change for Oregon in the 7th inning. As Hurd came in to pinch hit, stayed in the game. He's now in right field. And Mason Neville moved from right to center. So we should note that. 1 ball and no strikes to McDonald. Off the fist, ranging back, off of Garate's glove. Not far enough away for Cobb to think about heading for home, but it's still a base hit for McDonald to bring up Malcolm Moore.
Troy, I was thinking as soon as that ball was hit, I'm like, well, If the infield's not playing in, that's going to be an out. And then it almost turned into an out, and what would have been a great catch, and then falls. And, yeah, wisely Owen Cobb deciding I'm not going to go anywhere on that one. I got Malcolm Moore coming up. There's a pretty good chance I'm about to be driven in right now anyways.
Well, Malcolm Moore drove in 4 with one swing of the bat, the grand slam in the 4th inning. Was also hit by a pitch in the 1st, walked in the 3rd. Moore has homered 4 times off this Ducks pitching staff this weekend. Swings and just nicks it back to screen. 0-1. Mercado's lengthiest outing from an innings pitch standpoint this year went 4 1/3 against UC Santa Barbara on March 2nd. And they were 4 1/3 scoreless against the Gauchos. Scattered 5 hits, struck out 3. He's gone 3 1/3 so far in this outing. The 0-1. Fastball just misses. 1-1 to Malcolm Moore. Moore wore baseball shoes to kindergarten. By age 6, his nickname was the Natural. Folks could already tell early on that he was on a certain path. Let's let him hear. And pitch clock violation. Everyone in the Stanford dugout was yelling for the call. So it's ball 2.
Couldn't tell from here if they were yelling ball or balk at first. I was a little confused myself. Then I saw him pointing at the wrist. I go, okay.
So 2-1. Starts outside, stays outside. 3-1. Runners at the corners and 1 out. Stanford up by 2. And a chance to get some big runs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The pitch. Low and outside. Mercado wanting no piece of Malcolm Moore. That loads up the bases for Jimmy Nadai. Last time we saw Jimmy Natai, he was trotting the bases with a solo home run. And now Mark Wazakowski with the jog out to the pitcher's mound. I don't believe there's been any action.
No.
I'm looking down at the bullpen, and I don't see anybody down there. So it's just a check-in to make sure everyone's on the same page. Probably more defensively than anything else. 9-7, Stanford with the lead, trying to close out this series and get a big series win. Stanford's next game coming up on Tuesday down at Santa Clara, 11 miles down the road. And then they're right back here at Sunken Diamond next weekend. As the Cardinal host the California Golden Bears. Conference done. And ready to go. Bases loaded for Jimmy Natai. First pitch from Mercado. In the air, center field. Coming in, Neville. Runs up, makes the catch. Runner coming. Cobb beats the throw. Just deep enough. And that is a big run for Stanford as it takes a 10-7 lead.
Boy, no kidding. I'm not surprised they gave Owen Cobb the green light to go. He has great speed, and the throw from Neville in center was not the strongest. It pretty much rolled in once it got to the infield grass. So Owen Cobb able to get in there without too much trouble. And like you said, a big insurance run, a 2-run lead versus a 3-run lead in the 9th. Huge.
Yep. Brandon Larson, the lone Cardinal, without a base hit today. He's had a couple of close calls. swings and misses here for strike one. Again, Mason Neville moving from right field to center, replacing Bryce Betcher. Betcher, we mentioned, he also plays Oregon football. Betcher's actually bulked up 24 pounds from his sophomore year. Was listed at 196 a couple years ago. This year, 220. Joining the football team, I'm sure, will make you do that. 1-1. 2 on, 2 out. I want to say Andrew Luck just walked past us.
Sure did.
Yeah, thought so. He's got stories against facing the Oregon Ducks, I'm sure.
I think he does.
1 ball and 1 strike. The pitch. Fires a fastball down low. It's blocked. So no one goes anywhere with McDonald at second and Moore at first. Count goes to 2-1.
It was good to see him yesterday at the spring showcase. Yeah. He was one of the guests who stopped by on the Pac-12 broadcast for a quick interview. Kind of an all-encompassing. It wasn't just about where Stanford football is heading, but also some of the stuff that Andrew's been involved in outside of football and really just around Stanford as a whole.
Breaking ball, swing and a miss, 2-2. Bumped into Andrew after Monday's football practice. Good to hang out with him and chat for a moment or so. Always great to have him around Stanford Athletics. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 on, 2 out. The pitch from Mercado. Fastball, got him looking. That's strike 3. Sac fly RBI by Jimmy Nadai drives in Owen Cobb and gives Stanford a 10-7 lead. Comes down to the top of the 9th on Stanford Livestream. Top of the 9th inning, Cardinal trying to close out the Ducks. Stanford with a 10-7 lead over Oregon. It begins with Maddox Maloney, who is 0 for 4 so far today. A couple of groundouts, a flyout, and a strikeout. Torrin O'Haron on the mound. 3rd pitcher for Stanford today. O'Haron fires a fastball, high strike called. 0-1. Timo Becerra ahead of the bag at 3rd base, the 0-1. Same pitch, same result, 0-2. O'Haron with a 3-out save at Washington March 9th. Struck out 2 along the way, the 0-2. Breaking ball this time, misses outside, 1-2. O'Haron got the win at Utah March 30th through 3 1/3 scoreless that day in Salt Lake. Fouls this one, heading off the facade of the press box. It actually hit the covering, the door that comes down, and shuts to like a window here in the press box.
Yeah, so I don't know if those things go up any higher, but if they do, that's coming in here.
Yeah, there would have been some folks scrambling around for balls. Tyler Guyvette might have had to hang on to that one as the pitch goes to 2. The count goes to 2-2 rather. It's not uncommon for balls to come in here. Fouled off, heading towards the marketing table. Count stays at 2-2.
It's got to be that right combination of loft and speed, because if it's hit too hard, it's just going to go right on over. If it's hit too high, it's going to land too short. Got to find that sweet spot.
This one's popped up. Going back, Cobb coming in hot. And he makes the catch. 1 gone. So 1 away with Mason Neville coming up to the plate. Neville with the solo home run in the 7th. Yeah, usually it's the KZSU guys on the other side of in the other corner of the press box in the front row that get the bulk of the balls that come in this way. The pitch from O'Haron. High. Ball one.
Had some stories about that happen the one season of minor league baseball I did. The same guy for the Hagerstown Suns hit a foul ball probably a couple weeks apart right through our portion of the booth and dented a hole in the wall behind us twice. He signed them both.
Nice. Big fastball. Big cut. Swing and a miss by Neville. 1-1.
No laptops were harmed in that either, right? You've seen the horror stories on social media.
1 ball and 1 strike from O'Haron. Off speed, low and outside, 2-1. I go back to 1995 when they were putting in lights in this place and doing a few other cosmetic things here at Sunken Diamond. There was one game that was actually played where there was no netting behind home plate. Off the fists, foul. Count goes to 2-1. Count goes to 2-2. Check that.
How good of an idea was that?
Well, we all made it out unscathed. There were no balls that came into the press box that day, some way, somehow. I'm still amazed. But gotta love those mid-season renovations. The 2-2. High and outside, 3-2. Of course, the big scoreboard in right center field that had to be replaced. It's up. They installed it. Not quite operational just yet. It's getting there. So still relying on the temporary one just to the right of the batter's eye right now. Payoff pitch too high. Neville walks. Ducks need base runners. There's one. Drew Smith, the batter, walked in the third, doubled and scored in the fourth, singled, and was later erased on the fielder's choice in the seventh. There was some light action in the Stanford bullpen with a right-hander beginning to warm up. First pitch to Smith. Just misses, ball one. Smith began his Oregon career with a 20-game hit streak last year and hitting .365 on the season. Good way to make a first impression. The 1-0. That's high, 2-0. It's gone final down in Tucson. Took 11 innings, but Arizona able to beat Washington State 7-6. The 2-0. Fastball pumped right down Palm Drive, 2-1.
So they're able to cap off the sweep there and keep pace in front of Oregon atop the Pac-12 standings. Oh, it's going to be such a fun race down the stretch here these last couple weeks.
Popped up, right field. McDonald barely has to move, and the Ducks are down to their final out. Arizona State beats UCLA 13-1. That's a final. And Sacramento State ousting USC 5-4. That's a final from Irvine.
And that's the second time on the weekend, I believe, that the Hornets are able to take down the Trojans.
Cal beat Oregon State today, by the way, 4-3.
That's a sweep for Cal.
How about that? Hurd the batter. Runner going. Throw to second. Not in time. But now, stranded off of second, and the tag applied, and that's your ball game.
Wow.
And in a game in which we saw so many base running gaffes at the beginning, it may end on one here.
May is the key word. Now, there's going to be a much shorter discussion about whether or not we're going to replay and what we're going to replay for.
Boy, and I picked a bad time to look away from the action.
Well, I think you and I both did there, partner, but I think the most surprising thing about all of that was the fact that Malcolm Moore came up throwing. They were not going to be content with indifference there. They wanted to try and get the final out of the game at second base. The throw was just late. Obviously, Neville had a big jump. He was not being held on. But, yeah, I mean, a little bit of movement there at the end. If he came off the bag, that would really be a full circle moment.
Boy.
The way this game has gone.
Had to strike him out, somewhat throw him out in the first inning as Jacob Walsh was called for interference and Chase Meggers was thrown out as a result at second, or at least called out anyway at second. That was back in the first inning. Double run down by Stanford in the bottom half of the first inning. A couple of other situations where base runners have been caught stealing. Looks like things have been cleaned up from a base running standpoint really since the first 3 or 4 innings or so. But right now, this game hinges on a call at second in which Mason Neville may have just lost contact with the bag at the absolute wrong time.
That's why you always keep the tag down. You never know if a guy's going to, just for a brief second, come off that bag. All right, here we go.
And the call stands. That's your ball game. And the Cardinal take 2 out of 3 from the Ducks. The final score this afternoon, Stanford 10, Oregon 7. In a game in which we saw just about everything, and it ends on a remarkable play at second. Neville just lost contact with the bag. Haskins applying the tag at the exact right moment. And the Cardinal with a much-needed series win. Stanford now 17-20 on the season, and even 9 up and 9 down in Pac-12 play, while the Ducks fall to 27-12 and 11-7 in conference action. 7 runs, 12 hits, 1 error for the Ducks. 10 runs, 13 hits, no error for the Cardinal. As Stanford was down 6-1, check that, 5-1, going into the bottom half of the 4th inning. They'd taken a 1-0 lead, but then saw it get whittled away and then blown away in the top of the 5th inning with 3 home runs hit in that frame by the Ducks. First by Dominic Hellman, then by Bryce Betcher, and then finally by Justin Casella. Oregon with a big inning to take a 5-1 lead, and you might be starting to think, oh boy, here we go again for Stanford. But the Cardinal answering right back with 6 runs of their own in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Solo shot by Charlie Som to get it rolling. An RBI double by Owen Cobb, and then a grand slam along the way as well by Malcolm Moore. That gave Stanford the lead. A lead, as it turned out, the Cardinal would not relinquish, as Stanford was able to chip on a couple more runs, keep separation from the Ducks, and get a much-needed win over a top 20 team.
Yeah, it's a huge confidence boost for this team, and, you know, it really, the way they were able to win this series by breaking out the bats and continuing to just stay hot on the offensive side, it's really the way you have to be successful at this level. Yes, you need some good front-end pitching from your Friday and Saturday guys, but so often, especially the deeper you get into a season, you're going to have to win games in which there are 17 total runs scored, because teams are going to either run out of pitching or arms start to wear down sometimes over the course of the year. You got to be able to hit with runners in scoring position. You got to be able to hit home runs. Stanford was able to do both of those here today. And I like where this team is trending heading into the final 4 or 5 series of the season before the Pac-12 tournament, because you want to be peaking at the right time and getting a series win over a ranked Oregon squad. That's going to give them a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum heading down the stretch.
It's Stanford's 5th win on Sunday this year. When you win on Sunday, that generally means important things. You're closing out the series in the right way. If you happen to drop the first 2, you've at least fought back and claimed at least 1 and salvaged at least 1 in the series. However, if you win on Sunday, that also generally means that you've won a series, and that's the case here for Stanford today. Trevor Moore gets the win as he goes up to 3-0 on the season. Torrin O'Haron gets his 5th save of the year. Kevin Sider gets saddled with the loss. He falls to 4-2. Kudos to Malcolm Moore with the grand slam. Owen Cobb went 4 of 5 today as the Cardinal were able to wrap out 13 hits all told. Attendance just over 2,000. Time of today's game, 3 hours and 6 minutes. Put it all together, and it is a win for the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford next takes the field on Tuesday down at Santa Clara. That'll be a 6 p.m. first pitch. You can just head right on down the road. It's just 11 miles between the campuses of Stanford and Santa Clara. We highly encourage you to do so. Or if you want to wait till they come back here, you don't have to wait too long. Stanford, Cal, here at Sunken Diamond next weekend in Pac-12 play. I suggest you be there for that. On behalf of our outstanding Stanford live stream crew, my broadcast partner Brian Brownfield, the man wearing many hats here today, I'm Troy Clarity. Thanks so much for joining us here this afternoon. Final score, Stanford 10, Oregon 7. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and go Stanford.